You won't believe what 62 children witnessed and drew identically without ever speaking to each other. No one aired it. It never made the news, but it was real. Just like the unexplained disappearances, the lights rising from the sea, the radio signals no one can decode, and the files that disappeared from government archives. They didn't arrive in giant ships. They infiltrated, quietly, underground, in the sky, among us. And everything points to one terrifying truth. The invasion already happened, and almost no one noticed. But what if it's all true? It all started with scattered reports, a strange humming in the sky, flashing objects that disappeared in total silence. They weren't planes, they weren't drones, and they definitely weren't on radar. But something or someone was up there, watching. And the scariest part? Most people didn't even notice. In remote areas, locals reported lights appearing out of nowhere, hovering over fields. Animals grew restless, power flickered, but no one made a fuss. The governments? Total silence. No official statements, no public investigations, just a pattern of cover-up, as if they knew exactly what was happening and didn't want us to find out. The truth is, their presence was never about arriving, it was about infiltration. Slowly, disguised, blended in, and now some say they're already among us, not as invaders with weapons, but as shadows in places no one looks. And this was just the beginning. Have you ever heard of the sounds coming from underground? Metallic noises, deep rumblings, like something massive is moving below. For years, scientists ignored it, called it natural phenomena. But what if these sounds are the signal of something awakening or escaping? There are confidential documents that mention underground facilities in remote regions, including Brazil. Sites where strange equipment was unearthed. Structures that don't match any known human technology, all hidden under layers of concrete and silence. UFOs that don't descend from the sky, but rise from beneath, as if Earth is just a thin shell covering something much larger. People near these zones report physical effects, dizziness, chills, lost time, like space itself was distorted. The question is, what truly lives beneath us? Because if these bases are real, the invasion didn't come from the stars. It started from the inside, and the worst was yet to come. In small towns, old stories speak of strangers who appeared out of nowhere, people with no past, no documents, no medical records, but with eyes different. A gaze that doesn't blink, a behavior that mimics ours, but never quite right, as if they're testing language, gestures, human emotion. Declassified CIA files mention encounters with non-human anthropomorphic entities. In one case, an agent described interrogating a being that looked human until it smiled. Its jaw structure extended in ways impossible for any person. These reports are dismissed as delusions. But why do they keep happening in different places with identical details? These entities don't need bright ships to invade. They walk among us, work, observe, learn. The real threat was never in the sky. It's been beside us all along, invisible, polite, calculated. And this, believe it or not, is a pattern. And what comes next will leave you speechless. In 1982, a mysterious station began broadcasting repetitive buzzing, 24/7s, no breaks, no failures. Its name, UVB-76, also known as the buzzer. Occasionally, a voice interrupts the hum, reading random numbers and words. No one has claimed ownership. No government has explained it. Just speculation and fear. Cryptographers say the broadcasts follow patterns similar to military code. Others believe it's a communication line with something off-world. The creepiest part, whenever strange events occur, like UFO crashes or sudden blackouts, the frequency changes, as if someone or something is replying. What if those sounds aren't natural? What if they're commands? Activations? It may sound insane, but the patterns match. And some say these aren't messages from Earth, but to Earth. And if that's true, what's coming next will shake everything. In 1959, 9 Russian hikers vanished in the Ural Mountains. When their bodies were found, nothing made sense. Tents ripped from the inside out, crushed bones with no visible trauma, and radiation on the corpses. This is the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident. To this day, No one knows what truly happened, but some say they saw something they shouldn't have. This isn't isolated. In US national parks, hundreds go missing every year without a trace. No footprints, no clothes, nothing. The FBI claims there's no connection, but independent researchers spotted patterns. Magnetic zones, animals acting strange, and always reports of lights in the sky before it happens. These vanishings are ignored by the media, treated like random accidents. But what if they're part of something bigger? What if these people weren't lost, but taken? The question no one wants to ask is taken by who or why? Because if this is real, then we're looking at a silent hunt that never ended. In 1994, at Ariel School in Zimbabwe, 62 children witnessed something that changed them forever. During recess, they saw a craft land near the bushes. Small figures stepped out, with dark eyes and large heads. The children stood frozen, but say they received a message, telepathically, a warning about Earth's future. The most shocking part? They all drew the same thing: alien faces, round ships, and a shared feeling. They were worried about us. Researchers, psychologists, and journalists went to investigate. They filmed the testimonies, and to this day, no one has explained it. These kids had no access to movies, no internet. What they saw was real. Today, as adults, their stories haven't changed. Same drawings, same fear, same detail. What happened at that school wasn't mass hysteria, it was contact. One of many that history erased. But the next one? It was recorded on camera and hidden for over a decade. In 2004, US Navy pilots filmed a UFO using infrared cameras. The now famous FLIR 1 video shows an object performing impossible maneuvers. No wings, no heat, no propulsion. It accelerated from 0 to hundreds of miles per hour in a blink with no sonic boom. The video was locked in Pentagon archives for over a decade. Then in 2017, it leaked, and the world saw undeniable proof. At first, the government denied it, then claimed they didn't know what it was. Finally, in 2020, the Department of Defense confirmed, yes, the video is real. But they never said what it was. If they don't know, who does? Or worse, what if they do, and they're hiding it? The scariest part isn't the footage, it's the silence. Because if that was caught in 2004, how many more have they buried? And what if some things were never caught on camera? The next clue? It's orbiting above your head. Since the 1950s, amateur astronomers have reported a strange object in polar orbit, something no country launched. It's dark, massive, and doesn't reflect light like regular satellites. They call it the Black Knight satellite. NASA says it's space junk. But here's the thing. It was seen before we ever sent anything into space. In 1960, the US Air Force detected it and went on high alert. It was sending signals and changing course by itself. Decades later, radio engineers picked up a transmission that, when decoded, mapped out stars from a system 200 light years away. Coincidence or a calling card? What if it's not junk, but a probe, a camera, a transmitter, something that's been watching for centuries? If it's monitoring Earth, the real question is, monitoring it for who, and what are they waiting for? The next clue comes from beneath the ocean. In 2011, fishermen in the Philippines reported eerie blue lights emerging from deep waters. Silent, steady, no noise, no heat, no waves. They thought it might be a submarine, but nothing showed up. No trace, no explanation. The area, rich in rare minerals used in advanced tech. Elsewhere, in the Gulf of Mexico, sensors recorded a massive underwater displacement. Thermal images showed a glowing bubble forming, like something was being activated. Witnesses saw a black object with pulsing lights rise, then vanish into the sky. The Navy called it a technical anomaly. But what if it wasn't a glitch? What if bases are operating below us, out of sight? The ocean covers 70% of Earth, and we've explored less than 5% of it, the perfect hiding place. Because if they want to stay hidden, they won't be in the skies, they'll be in the depths. And the next sign came from space. In 1977, an Ohio telescope captured something strange, a strong, clean, organized signal from the Sagittarius constellation. It lasted 72 seconds, but it was so intense that the researchers circled it and wrote, "Wow," giving birth to the WOW signal. No planet, no satellite, no known star was there at the time. Scientists tried to recreate the signal. Nothing. Tried to hear it again. Silence. It was like someone sent one message, right on time, then vanished. Like a whisper in the void, aimed directly at us. This wasn't noise. It was intelligence. And if it was a first hello, a test? Because if someone out there is speaking, someone might be listening too, and the next response may already be here, hidden in a place that's not on any map. In the Nevada desert, there's a zone where Google Maps blurs everything out. Surveillance towers, motion sensors, signs that say deadly force authorized. You know it, Area 51. Officially, it's a testing ground for experimental aircraft. But whistleblowers, former employees, and UFO researchers tell a very different story, one of direct contact with non-human entities. Bob Lazar, a physicist who worked there, claimed to have seen a craft powered by anti-gravity technology. He described its reactor with alarming detail. He was discredited, hunted, but never disproven. Even stranger, his past records began disappearing. School diplomas, employment history, erased, as if someone wanted him to never exist. If this were fiction, why erase him? Why did so many others who worked there vanish, change names, or die under accidental circumstances? Area 51 isn't just a base. It's the epicenter of something far beyond technology. It's where silence is bought, and what hides inside could rewrite reality. And somehow, it all connects to an even darker case, in Brazil. In 1996, something crashed in Varginha, a town in Minas Gerais, Brazil. Locals heard a loud boom in the sky. Days later, strange creatures were seen, small, brown-skinned, red-eyed, with 3 ridges on the head. Children found one crouched on a sidewalk. Minutes later, military trucks arrived. Area sealed, creature taken. No explanation. Soon after, one of the soldiers involved died mysteriously from a sudden infection. Doctors couldn't explain it. The military said nothing happened. But witnesses, nurses, firefighters, even police, say otherwise. They saw the body, they saw the cover-up, but they were silenced, threatened, ignored. The Varginha incident is Brazil's Roswell, but with living witnesses still telling the same story. So why is no one listening? Why did the global press brush it off? Maybe because the real story wasn't about a crash, but a deal, an exchange. And what comes next? It brings us to religion, and a certain telescope with a very disturbing name. On Mount Graham in Arizona sits an advanced observatory, a collaboration between the Vatican and several science institutions. One of its most powerful instruments is an infrared telescope named Lucifer. Officially, it's an acronym. Unofficially, it's the most suspicious name for a telescope pointed at deep space. Why would the Church want that? The Vatican has openly acknowledged interest in alien life. The director of their observatory once said that believing in extraterrestrials doesn't conflict with faith. But why invest in infrared tracking technology, focused on distant planets, and build it on one of the most energetically charged mountain peaks in North America? What exactly are they watching or waiting for? And maybe the answer is in the name. Lucifer, the light bringer, the fallen one, the one who came from the heavens. What if religion and science aren't divided, but secretly aligned, not to study the skies, but to prepare, because the next clue is even older, and it's hidden in the world's most sacred texts. In Ezekiel 1:4, it's written, "I looked, and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and brilliant light around it." He goes on to describe beings with 4 faces, wheels of fire that moved on their own, and voices from within the flames. For centuries, this was seen as a vision. Today, some see it as a close encounter. Other parts of the Bible are just as strange. Elijah was taken to heaven in a chariot of fire. Enoch, in apocryphal texts, was lifted by angels that shone like stars and shone the gears of heaven. These aren't just poetic metaphors. They sound eerily like modern UFO reports. Encounters. Recorded, then hidden behind divine imagery. What if angels were just the best words ancient people had for beings from the sky? What if chariots of fire were ships? If so, the truth has always been there, not denied, just encoded. And the final clue may not be in scripture. It may be inside us. In 2003, when the Human Genome Project was completed, scientists found something strange, long sequences of code with no known purpose or origin. They called it junk DNA, but some researchers began to wonder, what if those sequences are messages, embedded codes, left by someone else? Astrophysicist Vladimir Sherbak and biologist Maxim Mekakov proposed a theory: human DNA contains an artificial signal, a precise mathematical pattern embedded within our genes, too perfect to be random, like a tag left behind, a signature. They suggest we didn't evolve here, we were planted, designed. And if that's true, the question isn't, are we alone? It's who put us here and why. Because if our DNA holds a message, maybe it's waiting to be activated. Or maybe it already was. And what we showed you today was just the surface. If they're already here, what are they waiting for? Maybe we shouldn't be watching the skies, but looking around us, on the subway, in the elevator, in the mirror, because if this invasion is silent, the next phase might already be unfolding, and we're blind to it. So now the question is, will you keep pretending everything's normal, or will you start noticing the signs? If this video made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and share this with someone who deserves to know the truth.